It was a busy Friday evening at one of the most exclusive restaurants in Los Angeles, Prime Lux, the kind of place where celebrities dined behind velvet curtains and reservations were booked weeks in advance. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling. The air was filled with the aroma of aged steaks and truffle butter, and waiters in sharp black suits floated gracefully between tables. As a tall man walked into the restaurant, heads briefly turned. He was dressed in casual but elegant attire, dark jeans, a crisp white shirt, and a tailored navy blazer. His presence was commanding, but there was a humble ease in his stride. Standing by the host podium was Jake, a waiter in his mid-30s with slicked back hair and an attitude that didn't match his job title. Jake prided himself on reading people, deciding at a glance whether someone deserved attention or dismissal. And when he looked up and saw the tall man approaching, he didn't hesitate to jump to conclusions. Sir, Jake said, stepping in front of the podium before the man could even speak. I think you might be a little lost. This isn't exactly, well, it's not the kind of place for walk-ins. The man raised an eyebrow, offering a polite but puzzled smile. I'm here for dinner, he replied in a smooth voice. Jake let out a short, almost mocking chuckle. Right. Well, the cheapest thing on the menu starts at $150. We don't do drop-ins without reservations. Just a few feet away, Emily, another server, froze mid-step, her tray trembling slightly in her hands. She recognized that voice. Her eyes widened as she glanced toward the man Jake was dismissing. Jake kept going, oblivious. Look, buddy, you might want to check out the diner down the street. They've got a great burger. This place? Not really for you. Before we continue, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a jaw-dropping story like this one. The tall man chuckled softly, clearly unbothered on the surface but with a sharpness in his gaze. You sure about that? He asked, folding his arms. You really think I don't belong here? Jake scoffed, rolling his eyes. Yeah, pretty sure. Across the dining room, murmurs started spreading. A few customers recognized the tall man. Double takes, whispers, and sneaky phone pictures began circulating among the guests. A family near the window gasped quietly, the teenage son nudging his mom frantically. Mom, that's Magic Johnson. But Jake, too caught up in his own smugness, missed it all. Look, I don't have all night, Jake pressed. If you're not dining here, you're holding up real customers. The man's friendly smile faded slightly, replaced by a calm but firm expression. You should double-check who you're talking to. Yeah, sure. Jake waved a dismissive hand. At that exact moment, another waiter hurried past, his eyes catching the man at the door. His jaw dropped, plates nearly tumbled from his hands. He sprinted toward the kitchen entrance, whispering frantically, "Oh my God." Moments later, the restaurant manager burst out of the back, adjusting his tie nervously. His eyes scanned the room, then locked onto the tall man at the door. His face went pale. Mr. Johnson. Welcome back, sir, the manager exclaimed, rushing over. Jake blinked. Wait, what? The manager turned, staring at Jake with a mix of fury and disbelief. Do you have any idea who you've just been talking to? Jake gulped. No! The manager's voice dropped but was sharp as a razor. That's Earvin Magic Johnson, not only a Hall of Fame NBA legend, but the owner of this restaurant. Jake's face turned ghost white. His mouth opened, but no words came out. And this was only the beginning. For a few agonizing seconds, the world seemed to freeze around Jake. His brain scrambled to process what the manager had just said. Magic Johnson. Owner. Jake felt the blood drain from his face. His hands, once confidently placed on his hips, now hung limp at his sides. Magic stayed calm, watching Jake with a slight tilt of his head, waiting, giving him just enough rope to hang himself a little further. Jake awkwardly cleared his throat, trying to recover. Mr. Johnson, I didn't recognize you. My mistake, he stammered, forcing a nervous smile. But Magic's eyes didn't soften. Oh, so now I'm Mr. Johnson, huh? He replied, crossing his arms. Funny how that works. The awkward tension was broken only by the rising murmur from nearby tables. Guests were whispering, sneaking glances, and some were already pulling out their phones. The realization spread like wildfire. Magic Johnson wasn't just visiting. He owned this place. Emily stood off to the side, her eyes wide with a mixture of horror and second-hand embarrassment. She had always known Jake was arrogant, but this was next level. The manager fumbled forward. "Mr. Johnson, we are so sorry for the misunderstanding. Please, let me escort you to your usual table." Magic raised a hand. "Hold on. I want to hear what this guy's got to say first." Jake gulped, beads of sweat forming on his forehead. "Look, I didn't know it was you, sir. You know how it is. Sometimes people come in trying to sneak a table without—" Magic held up a finger. "Without what?" "Without looking the part." Jake's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Magic shook his head slowly. "You know, it's funny. I own this place, but even if I didn't, you still had no right to treat anyone that way." Emily finally stepped forward, unable to stay quiet any longer. "Mr. Johnson, I am so sorry. I tried to step in, but—" Magic gave her a reassuring nod. "I know. I saw you." Meanwhile, the manager shifted nervously from foot to foot. "Jake, step aside. Right now." But Magic wasn't finished. He looked Jake dead in the eyes. "Is this how you treat all the customers when I'm not here?" Jake stammered. No, it was a misunderstanding. Really. I didn't—" Magic interrupted. "Oh, it was pretty clear to me. Real clear." At that moment, another guest, a middle-aged man in a business suit, stood up from his table and called out, "You know, this isn't the first time I've seen that guy act like this." Others murmured in agreement. The manager winced, his face going red. Jake looked like he wanted to melt into the floor. Magic sighed deeply. "I built this place to be a spot where everyone, no matter where they come from, feels welcome. I didn't put my name on the door so people could be judged the second they walk in." Silence fell over the restaurant. Then, breaking the tension, Magic added, "Now you're going to show me to my table, or do I need to call myself and make a reservation?" A wave of nervous laughter rolled through the dining room. Even Magic smiled at his own joke, though the edge of seriousness hadn't left his voice. The manager quickly sprang into action. "Right this way, Mr. Johnson." "Of course." Jake stood frozen, watching as the man he had just insulted, the man who signed his paychecks, walked by, towering over him without even a glance now. His heart pounded. What happens next? Am I about to be fired? Publicly, right here. And that sinking feeling was only getting worse. Jake stood stiff as a statue, his face drained of color, watching Magic Johnson glide effortlessly toward his usual table, with the manager practically tripping over himself to make things right. Every step Magic took felt like a hammer blow to Jake's chest. His ears burned. He could feel the weight of every pair of eyes in the restaurant focused directly on him. Whispers grew louder. Phones were now openly recording. This is a nightmare. Magic sat down, adjusting his blazer with a smooth motion, while the manager pulled out the chair for him. Emily rushed over, placing a glass of sparkling water on the table before Magic could even ask. Her hands trembled slightly, but her smile was genuine. "Thank you, Emily," Magic said warmly, sending her a grateful nod that made her beam. "It's always nice to see someone here who remembers how to treat people." Emily blushed. "Of course, sir." Jake lingered near the host stand, unsure whether he should run, hide, or beg. But before he could decide, the manager waved him over with a sharp flick of the hand. "Jake, now!" Jake swallowed hard and shuffled toward them, every step heavier than the last. The manager didn't waste time. "Apologize," Jake stammered. "Mr. Johnson, I'm really sorry. I didn't recognize you. It was never my intention to be disrespectful. Magic held up a hand. "Stop. Don't apologize to me because you recognize me now. Apologize for how you acted when you didn't know who I was." The words hit Jake like a slap. His mouth opened, but his brain stalled. "So you see," Magic continued, leaning forward with his hands clasped, "this restaurant isn't just some fancy spot to show off wealth. When I opened it, I wanted it to be a place where the community could feel welcome. Doesn't matter if someone's in a suit, jeans, or a hoodie, they get treated with the same respect. Jake's lips trembled. I understand, sir. I really do. I just made a mistake. A mistake? Magic echoed, raising an eyebrow. No, a mistake is spilling a drink. What you did was a choice. A loud ooh rippled through the dining room. Even the guests couldn't hold back their reactions. Jake felt like he was shrinking. The manager interjected nervously, Mr. Johnson, I assure you, this is not the standard we... Magic cut him off with a calm but firm tone. I hope not. Then Magic shifted his gaze back to Jake. Let me ask you something. What would have happened if it wasn't me? If it was a regular customer? Someone who didn't look rich enough by your standards? Jake's shoulders sagged. I guess... No. Don't guess. Answer. Jake closed his eyes briefly, swallowing hard. I probably would have treated them the same way. Magic nodded slowly. And that's exactly the problem. A heavy silence fell over the room. Even the clinking of silverware had stopped. Then Magic leaned back, exhaling deeply. You know, I didn't come here tonight looking to check up on anyone. I came here to enjoy a meal. But maybe it's a good thing this happened. Jake's brows furrowed in confusion, unsure where this was headed. Magic continued, because now we all get to have a little lesson in what respect means and what it doesn't. His voice wasn't angry. It wasn't loud, but it was powerful. Every word carried weight. At the other tables, customers were nodding in agreement. A few were even clapping softly. Jake stood there, fighting the sinking feeling in his gut. The realization hit him harder than anything else. The job, his reputation, everything might now hang by a thread, or maybe it was already gone. And the worst part? This wasn't even the end. Magic tapped his fingers on the table for a moment, staring at Jake. His expression wasn't angry, but it was serious, thoughtful. The entire restaurant was dead silent, waiting to see what would happen next. Then slowly Magic stood up. His towering presence commanded the entire room. Conversations halted, phones were raised, and all eyes locked on him. Magic turned, addressing not just Jake but the entire staff and every customer in the restaurant. You know, he began, his deep voice resonating through the space, this isn't the first time I've seen this kind of thing, and I doubt it'll be the last. He paced slowly in front of the host stand. I opened this restaurant for a reason, not just because I love good food, but because I wanted to create jobs. I wanted to build something for the community. A place where everyone, and I mean everyone, feels like they belong. Magic stopped and faced Jake directly. But when someone walks in and gets judged, dismissed, talked down to, it's not just bad service. It's disrespect. It's everything I built this place to stand against. Jake stared at the floor, his face flushed, hands trembling. Magic's voice softened, but carried even more weight. Now, Jake, I could fire you right now, right here. You embarrassed yourself. You embarrassed the restaurant. And worst of all, you showed everyone who you really are when you think no one's watching. A ripple of agreement passed through the crowd. A woman near the bar nodded. Another guest whispered, "Exactly." Jake opened his mouth, but no sound came out. But you know what? Magic continued, lifting his chin. I believe in second chances. Gasps echoed across the restaurant. Even Jake's head snapped up, shocked. Magic held up a finger. One condition. You're going to change. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now. Jake blinked. Sir, I will, I swear. I didn't realize how... How? Magic cut him off. No. No speeches. No excuses. Just action. He turned to the manager. I want him retrained from the ground up. Customer service, respect, professionalism. If I ever hear about him treating anyone like that again, anyone, he's done. Understood? The manager nodded furiously. Absolutely, Mr. Johnson, 100%. Jake practically collapsed with relief, nodding so quickly it looked painful. Yes, absolutely. I understand. Thank you for giving me another chance. Magic gave him a firm but measured look. Don't thank me yet. Earn it. Then, turning to the customers, Magic raised his voice just enough to be heard clearly. Let this be a reminder. Never judge someone by how they look. You don't know their story. You don't know who they are or who they could be. The restaurant burst into applause. Some guests stood up clapping. Others cheered. Phones recorded every second. A man near the window shouted, "That's why you're the GOAT, Magic." Even Magic cracked a wide smile. Appreciate you. Cameras caught it all. The NBA legend giving a real-life lesson not just about basketball, but about humanity. Jake stood quietly, soaking it in, the gravity of the moment settling deep into his bones. He knew this wasn't just about keeping a job anymore. This was about changing who he was. Magic sat back down, finally allowing the manager and Emily to finish setting his table. As he adjusted his silverware, Magic glanced at Jake one more time. Remember, you never know who's walking through that door. Treat everyone like they matter, and because they do. Jake nodded. Yes, sir. I won't forget. The restaurant slowly returned to life. Conversations restarted, laughter bubbled up again, and the energy shifted from tension to something more hopeful, more inspired. But the story wasn't over yet. As the evening continued, the restaurant buzzed with a renewed energy. The tense cloud that had hung over the room was gone, replaced by an atmosphere of inspiration and respect. Conversations were lively again, but one topic dominated every table, the lesson they had just witnessed. Jake stood quietly near the bar, his mind racing. The knot in his stomach was slowly loosening, but the weight of what had happened remained heavy. He glanced at Magic's table more than once, watching as customers came by, shaking Magic's hand, asking for selfies, thanking him, not just for being a basketball legend, but for being a man who stood up for what's right. Meanwhile, Emily approached Jake cautiously. "You okay?" she asked softly. Jake sighed, running a hand through his hair. "No, but I think I will be. I deserved that. All of it." Emily gave him a small nod. "You know, you've always been a little arrogant." He laughed nervously. Yeah, I have. But," she added, "it's not too late to be better. You've got a second chance. Don't waste it." Jake looked at her, genuinely grateful. "I won't, I promise." Across the room, Magic was finishing his meal. The manager hovered nearby, making sure everything was perfect. When the check arrived, Magic pushed it aside with a smile. "You know this one's on the house, right?" he chuckled. The manager laughed nervously. "Of course, sir." Magic stood up, straightened his jacket, and prepared to leave. As he walked toward the exit, conversations paused once more. Customers smiled, nodded, and waved. Before stepping out the door, Magic turned back one last time, locking eyes with Jake. "Remember what I said," he called out. "Respect isn't something you give just when someone's famous. It's what you give because it's the right thing to do." Jake nodded, his voice steady this time. "I hear you. I won't forget." Magic gave him a thumbs up, flashed that iconic smile, and walked out the door, disappearing into the Los Angeles night. As soon as the door closed, customers erupted into applause again. This time, not just for Magic Johnson, the celebrity, but for Magic Johnson, the man. Moments later, phones buzzed across the restaurant. Clips of the confrontation had already hit social media. Tweets, TikToks, and Instagram Reels were blowing up. One viral post read, "When you realize the man you insult owns the building you work in. Life lesson, Magic Johnson." Respect, millions of views started pouring in within hours. Back inside, Jake took a deep breath. He approached a table, forcing himself past his usual hesitation. "Good evening, folks. I just wanted to thank you for dining with us tonight. Can I get you anything else?" The older couple at the table smiled. "Thank you for asking," the gentleman said kindly. "And good for you, young man. We all make mistakes. What matters is what you do next." Jake smiled for the first time that night, an honest smile. "Thank you, really." From that day forward, Jake became a different person. Guests noticed. Emily noticed. Even the manager noticed. Gone was the smug, dismissive waiter. In his place was someone who understood the value of humility, and the power of respect. As the video clips continued to trend worldwide, one thing was clear. This story was more than just an embarrassing mistake. It was a reminder to everyone watching: treat people right. You never know who you're talking to or whose restaurant you're standing in. And hey, if you love this story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another unbelievable tale like this one. And don't go just yet. Click the video on your screen right now for another jaw-dropping story that you won't believe actually happened. See you there.